Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I hope you had a great weekend. I certainly did. Meantime, it's no secret that there's a huge scandal involving the top leadership of the NYPD, including the police commissioner, Eddie Caban, and the deputy mayor, Philip Banks, who is in charge of public safety and who the police commissioner reports to. And we'll see where that goes. But I have to tell you, wherever that goes, I am not at all happy at one of the things that we're seeing out of the NYPD. In a city where the free press is supposed to thrive, what happened last week at NYPD headquarters is nothing short of outrageous. Two seasoned reporters, Tina Moore of the New York Post and Maria Kramer of the New York Times, were abruptly booted from the media trailer at One Police Plaza. Their press passes were deactivated. Why? For doing what reporters do, asking questions and pursuing stories. The claim from NYPD brass is that these journalists broke previously agreed upon rules by contacting officers directly instead of going through the department's press office. But here's the kicker. There's nothing in the written rules that says reporters can't speak to officers directly. I've done this. I've spoken to reporters directly. In fact, no such rule exists. So why were two of the most respected police reporters in New York City shown the door? Tina Moore, who was working on a 9/11 legacy story, was physically escorted out by NYPD personnel, and Maria Kramer was unceremoniously told over the phone that she was no longer welcome. Let's pause and think about that. These are journalists with long-standing, trusted relationships within the NYPD, covering one of the most critical beats in the city, the police. They're not some fly-by-night bloggers stirring the pot, yet the NYPD made the decision to bar them from doing their jobs. Now, the NYPD's explanation is that access to police headquarters is a privilege and that reporters must abide by ethical standards, just like the officers they cover. But let's get real. When did it become unethical to ask a police officer a question directly? The truth is, this reeks of something more insidious, an attempt to muzzle the press and control the narrative. The New York Times has rightly called this a restriction on a free and independent press, and they're spot on. A free press is the lifeblood of any democracy. Journalists hold the powerful to account, and that includes law enforcement. This is a slippery slope, and we should all be concerned when the press gets punished for doing its job. It's not just the reporters who suffer, it's us. It's everybody. It's the public.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
You've created a cool indoor retreat. Now let Mountain Air Comfort Systems provide the quiet and energy-efficient comfort you can depend on. With a range of innovative cooling solutions like the Carrier Infinity Heat Pump that delivers premium home heating and cooling performance. Learn more at mountainairmobile.com. You make it a home. Let Mountain Air Comfort Systems make it more comfortable. Rebates, incentives, and financing are available for a limited time. Mountain Air Comfort Systems and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. New York City taxpayers might want to sit down for this one, because if Councilwoman Crystal Hudson's new bill passes, you're going to be footing the bill for wigs, hair extensions, chest binders, tucking undergarments, and prosthetics for prisoners. I'm not joking. That's right. Gender-affirming items for detainees on Rikers Island and other city jails could be covered on the taxpayer's dime, but it doesn't stop there. Her legislation would also make these items available to correction officers. Now, let me be totally clear. I'm all for treating every individual with dignity, including those who are incarcerated. But this bill, it raises some serious questions. Should we really be prioritizing the cost of wigs and fake body parts over public safety? I mean, how can any legislator think this is something the taxpayers should pay for? We're talking about a prison system where 42 out of over 6,000 detainees identify as transgender. I'll repeat that. 42 out of 6,000. That's 42 that identify as transgender, intersex, or non-binary. 42. And for that small fraction, we're expected to roll out a menu of gender-affirming items. Let's think about what this could actually mean inside a city jail. Critics, including the Correction Officers Benevolent Association, are rightly concerned about prosthetics and binders that could be used to hide weapons, drugs, or other contraband. Can you imagine trying to pat down a detainee wearing a stand-to-pee prosthetic? The safety risks are obvious, but the issue here isn't just safety. It's the principle of who's picking up the tab. There's no clear answer in the legislation about whether these gender-affirming items would be funded by taxpayers, detainees, or outside sources. But let's face it, given the track record of city government, we all know who's most likely to end up paying. You, me, hardworking New Yorkers. And for what? A wig that could cost $100 or more? Chest binders? Prosthetic breasts? Are these really essentials for prison life? Councilman Hudson claims this is about civil liberties and dignity. But it feels like yet another example of progressive overreach. The same people who pushed to eliminate punitive segregation, making our jails more dangerous, are now asking for fake body parts to be added to the mix. What's next? Manicures for murderers? Look, we're not talking about denying people medical care. Gender dysphoria is a real condition, and we should address it with appropriate care. But chest binders and fake penises? That crosses a line. Councilwoman Joanne Ariola said it best when she called this bill unconscionable. She's right. This is reckless spending, pure and simple.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
When New York shut down Indian Point in 2021, it was celebrated by some as a victory for the environment. But in reality, it was like pulling the plug on a clean energy lifeline and watching fossil fuel emissions spike right back up. Fast forward a few years, and Governor Kathy Hochul is realizing that we can't meet our climate goals without nuclear power in the mix. It's a classic case of trying to fix what shouldn't have been broken in the first place. Now, Hochul is cautiously eyeing new nuclear reactors as part of New York's energy future. That's right, nuclear power. The same thing we turned our backs on may just be the key to lowering emissions while keeping the lights on. And let's be clear, this is great news. While some environmental activists out there are protesting and chanting, the hard truth is that renewable energy sources alone, wind, solar, hydro, they're just not enough to meet the demands of our growing population and technology industry. The activists will say nuclear is too dangerous, too expensive, too slow to build. But let's not forget, shutting down Indian Point left us scrambling to build more natural gas and coal, both for far worse for the environment than nuclear. And the irony? The clean energy dream they're fighting for was dealt a major blow the minute Indian Point was decommissioned. Cuomo's decision to close it was, let's face it, a major blunder. It was like trading in your fuel-efficient hybrid for a gas-guzzling SUV and then complaining about pollution. Governor Hochul does deserve some credit, as far as I'm concerned, for thinking about the bigger picture. Her push for nuclear energy, or what some are calling friendly atoms, is a step towards getting New York back on track. And no, this isn't about building another Indian Point. We're talking about advanced reactors, smaller, more efficient, and safer. They don't carry the same risks as those hulking giants of yesteryear. Think of them as the Tesla of power plants. Still, opponents will argue that this is all a distraction from investing in renewable sources. But here's the kicker. We don't have the luxury of waiting for wind and solar to catch up. We need energy now. Reliable, consistent, and clean energy. It's not either or, it's yes and we need nuclear and renewables. It's like saying you can't have fries with your burger. It just doesn't make sense. So let's embrace the future while learning from the past. Hochul's nuclear pivot is a smart move, but it's a reminder of the mess we made by closing Indian Point. And I hope if Andrew Cuomo runs for office again, the voters won't let him forget it.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
In the latest round of political finger-pointing, both Governor Kathy Hochul and former Governor Andrew Cuomo have distanced themselves from Linda Sun, the former aide now charged with acting as an agent for the Chinese government. While Hochul promoted Sun to deputy chief of staff, Cuomo originally hired her. And as you'd expect, both administrations are scrambling to shift blame for how Sun rose through the ranks of New York's government unchecked. But amidst the political blame game, one glaring question emerges. Where was the FBI in all of this? According to the indictment, the FBI interviewed Sun back in 2020 when she was still working for Cuomo, warning her about the Chinese Communist Party's intentions. Yet, neither Cuomo nor Hochul claim they were informed about this crucial meeting. And that's a serious problem. How does an investigation that uncovered such troubling concerns about Sun go unshared with the state's highest officials? Shouldn't the FBI have alerted the governor's office when someone that close to the halls of power was under suspicion? Now, if they take the position that this person's not convicted of anything, they're innocent until proven guilty, and they want to keep them in their job, fine. That's on them. But at the very least, I think the FBI had an obligation to inform them. Both Cuomo and Hochul are quick to stress that they had no knowledge of the FBI's 2020 interview. Fair enough. But that raises an even bigger issue about the FBI's handling of this case. If the FBI had already flagged Sun as a potential threat, why were New York's leaders left in the dark? It's not as though Sun was a low-level staffer. She was a key figure liaising between the government and the Asian American community, someone with significant influence over policies and decisions. She even blocked Taiwanese officials from accessing state leaders in order to curry favor with the Chinese government. And yet, the FBI apparently never felt the need to pick up the phone and tell Cuomo or Hochul what they knew, and that's a serious lapse in communication and judgment on their part. Now, Hochul and Cuomo are trying to cover themselves by pointing fingers, and Hochul claims Sun's past wasn't something a standard background check would catch. But come on, when you're talking about foreign interference and allegations of espionage, this isn't just about routine checks. This is about national security. The FBI's silence essentially allowed a suspected Chinese agent to remain in the corridors of power in Albany, working on behalf of a foreign government while influencing key decisions in New York. In my view, that's totally unacceptable.
Beam me up.
To be continued.